My name is Včelák, if we haven't met. I work for CZNIC in a research and development department, and I'm currently leading the development of Knot DNS and our authoritative DNS server. And today I'm here to present you with the new features we are planning for the upcoming release Knot DNS 2.0. So just to put you into a context, we are here for some time. The first release of Knot DNS happened in 2011. And well, last year we were thinking about the new features we want to implement. We were aware that a lot of our users are already satisfied with the things we are doing. And we thought it is almost feature complete. But there were still voices from the community that required huge changes which were incompatible with the existing architecture of the server. So in October we released version 1.6 and said this will be the long-term support version. We will provide only bug fixes and security fixes for this version. And let's do some more significant changes to the code, incompatible changes, and this is how, which is basically Knot DNS 2.0. So the first version related to Knot DNS 2.0 was released in February. That was version 199. Which was basically version 1.6 with the new DNSSEC, which I will talk about in a few minutes. And actually 2 weeks ago we released the first beta version of Knot DNS 2.0, which also brings the second largest feature in this new version, and that's a new configuration format. So I will start with the configuration. And start with the motivation, actually why we are doing this. We have some users which serve, I don't know, 10 zones, and these are quite satisfied with the configuration we had. But we also have users which have thousands of zones or maybe 1 million. And with the old configuration, it was very problematic to reconfigure the server. For example, if you just wanted to add one zone, it meant that you have to update the configuration file, issue a reload, and with millions of zones, the reload, even parsing the configuration file took a few minutes. So the reload took a really long time. So we decided to switch to binary configuration, because binary configuration means that we can change the config on the fly, and we don't have to parse the configuration file. And so with Knot DNS 2.0, we use internally a binary database and a new text format which can be used on an import and export basis. So if you are a user with just a few zones, you can use the text format. If you are a user with 1 million of zones, you will be able to use the binary format in the upcoming release. And while when we were in this, we also revised the configuration scheme. We added support for zone templates, which I will also mention in a few minutes. And we reorganized how the remotes and ACLs are defined. Yeah, this is an example of a configuration, how it looks in practice. We use simplified YAML format. We have our own parser, so at the moment it can't parse everything which your script can write. This is basically how it looks like. This is a sample configuration for a master server which pulls a zone, not DNSCZ, from some hidden master, and allows distributing of this zone to slave servers. So, and This example is the example of, like demonstrating how the zone templates work. With Node DNS 1.6, there were always, we kind of supported zone templates, but the template was only one. You could define some variables which defined defaults for a zone configuration. So if you are then instantiating a zone, all these default parameters were copied to this zone and applied. With Knot DNS 2.0, you can define multiple of these templates. So in this example, there are two templates defined. The default templates for master zones and the second template called slave, which is used for slave zones. And as you can see, that the location for the zone files is different in these templates. And for the slave zone, or for this in the slave templates, we allow pulling the zones from some master server. And then you can just list the zones and apply these templates to the zones. So the zones Node DNS CZ and DNSSEC CZ are on the server master zones, and the zones NIC CZ and unsigned CZ are slaved. That's probably all to the configuration. And now I will talk about the new DNSSEC, which is as I said, the second largest feature in the upcoming release. We switched from OpenSSL to GNU TLS. You probably heard that. The reason why we did this is not because of security or something we might not like about OpenSSL. It's just because we were completely rewriting the engine. And GNU TLS has much better documentation. It has much better support for PKC S11 interface, which allows us in the future to add a support for hardware security modules or some keychains and tokens to store your private keys. With Node DNS 1.6, we use the same automatic signing model which was used in Bind, which meant that you just generated the signing keys, set some timing metadata on these keys, and the server was signing the zone automatically based on this metadata. With the new version, with the Node DNS 2.0, we use something called CASP, Key and Signature Policy, which is a concept which is more similar to OpenDNSSEC. Instead of generating the keys manually and setting this timing metadata manually, you just define a policy. You can say that I want to sign my zones with this algorithm, with this key sizes, and I want to roll the key every month or something. So this is what the key and signature policy allows. So we have a new utility to maintain this key and signature policy. The key and signature policy is stored in something we call CASP database. It's basically a directory on your file system which contains some metadata in JSON format and the private keys in X509 format in PEM. So the format you are used to from PKI. And we no longer depend on any utilities from Bind or LDNS. We can do it everything can be done with our utility. And at the moment, this automatic signing supports only generating of initial signing keys and zone signing key rotation. We didn't edit any other features for the moment because we want to know if this works for our current users. And we haven't decided yet how to communicate with the parent zone, which is necessary for KSK rotation or a single signing scheme, single type signing scheme, etc. So this was just an overview. And now I have a few examples how it actually works in practice. The key MGR is, as I said, the key MGR is the utility to manage the CASP database. So if you want to use this automatic signing based on KSP, on key and signature policy, you just create a new directory, go to this directory and issue key MGR init, which creates the database. The second command, you can see the key mgr policy add actually creates a new policy. This policy will be called lab, and it uses all defaults except the algorithm number or a used algorithm, which is in this case RSA SHA-256. And the third command just creates an entry for the zone called or named test zone and applies this policy to the zone. And if your server is configured correctly, the zone is in the config and DNSSEC is enabled for the zone, you just start the server or reload the server, and everything will happen automatically. The output on the bottom is a snippet from the log file, which basically says that we are reloading the zone. The engine finds out that there's no signing key, so it generates the initial keys key and ZS key, signs the zone, and that's all. That's all you have to do to sign the zone. The next step you will do is probably to add your DS record for the key signing key to the parent zone, but at the moment you have to do it manually. Well, but you are still able to do the manual signing as you were used with DNS 1.6 or bind or anything older. It can be done in a way that you disable the automatic policy or create a zone without the policy. That means that no automatic actions will happen, and all actions have to be performed manually. So I won't probably read the commands, but the third one and the last one. The third one is equivalent of DNSSEC keygen command from IC bind. The last one is equivalent to DNSSEC set time. So the principle is the same as with no DNS 1.6 or bind. As we are using a different format for the keys, you can also import the existing keys in the legacy format. This can be done by the second command, key mgr zone key import. And in future, we will probably add export to allow you migrate back to another signing solutions. And we are also thinking about DNSSEC online signing. We originally didn't think that this will fit into 2.0 version, but we still have some time, and we found out that it's not that difficult to implement this. So we expect that the final release will contain an experimental module which will do DNSSEC online signing as an alternative to the pre-signed zones, which I was talking about before. And the reason why we also want to have a support for online signing is that our server supports something we call answering modules, which can alter the processing of the message or processing of the query in the server. So you can write your own module to modify the answer or to synthesize some records. For example, we have a module which synthesizes reverse and forward records, PTR, A, and Quad A. So if you want to use this module and you want to use DNSSEC with that, then you need online signing. So here, this is just a demonstration. This is just a snippet from a console which I copied from my laptop yesterday. It's not faked. It's really synthesized answer, and it's online signed by NoDNS. It's not in the repository yet because it's leaking memory all over. It needs some cleanup, but I think that in the final version, this will be available for testing. And the last thing I want to mention, or maybe I wanted to say that I want to thank to our community. This is the list of our probably the most significant users. On the first place, of course, RIPE NCC. RIPE NCC uses no DNS. Anand was talking about it on kroot and various top-level domains. I would like to especially thank to Anand because he's always the first one in a row who is testing our new releases and pre-releases, which is great. Thank you. And also, no DNS is used by some top-level domain operators, by CZ domain, DK domain, CL domain. We are finally allowed to say that Microsoft is using no DNS. Telefonica O2, which is a large ISP in Czech Republic, they use the module for the PTR record synthesis for IPv6. Netriplex, and yesterday I talked to people from ICANN who are testing no DNS currently with the intention to use it on the L route. So that's also great news for us. And also various web hosters are using no DNS. If you are not on this list and want to be on this list, or if you are just using no DNS and we don't know about you, we will be glad to talk to you, to talk about what you need and what we can do for you. And that's all. Thank you for your attention. And I spent probably some time. So I am ready to answer all your questions. If there are any. I hope so. Olafur?
Jan, thank you. I love your server. Thank you. I love it.
Oh,
it's
great. Thank you.
I have a question about your key management. Is it timer-driven or is it predicate-driven? I.e., does it check whether a parent, for example, has modified the DS records or not before it rolls the keys over?
You mean the, we actually, at the moment, we don't communicate with the parent zone, so we can't check the DS records.
But can you check it?
We probably can check it. Our plan is to add some hooks or callbacks. You just define your own script, for example, to check if the DS record was published, and the same way for publishing the DS records. Mm-hmm. At the moment, we don't check it from the server, but for example, the key rotation doesn't work on a timely manner only. If your server was, for example, shut down and and the zone wasn't updated in time, or something went wrong, then the steps of the rollover are postponed. Yeah.
Consider it a feature request.
Thank you.
Patrick Feldström, random DNS hobby user something. Anyways, I have said this before, but I want to emphasize what you just said, that you were going to start to just do a callback mechanism, something, so it's possible to have external software that do something whenever you have internal events for the key management. And I just repeat that. So please do that, and the rest of us can start to do really cool things. Thank you.
Okay, we will do it. Thank you.
That's probably it. Thank you very much, Jan.
Oh, thank you.
And there's the next speaker is Sandosh, I think. And while Sandosh